Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, July 6, 2021. Today I'm going to recap Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. We will preview Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Major League Baseball, WNBA, UEFA semifinals begin today. Tennis, or it might be the quarterfinals of UEFA. Latest news and notes, and my best bet of the day, and it is indeed the semifinals, so I was initially right there. We'll start with Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, where the Montreal Canadiens stave off elimination with a 3-2 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning in overtime on a goal by Josh Anderson to force a Game 5. The number 3 started game with 32 saves on 34 shots. His best game of the series so far, Carey Price. Number 2 started game with an assist, Nick Suzuki. Number 1 started game with the overtime winner and the first goal of the game, Josh Anderson. So the Canadiens force a Game 5 in Tampa Bay on Wednesday night. Obviously, I'll have the pick for you on the podcast tomorrow. All right, Game number 1 of the NBA Finals is tonight. I gave out my pick on the show of Suns in 6 yesterday. And now I'll give out my pick of Game 1. I'm at Phoenix 12, total 226.5. Obviously, this is because of the thought of no Giannis. If the Giannis was there, then I make it Phoenix by 6. Because that's how much I think Giannis is worth to the spread. Meanwhile, it is 6.5, and the total is 218. Suns and over, I think, would be a fabulous parlay. But to me, 6.5 is really, really low. And 226, so the total's big and the line is low. Giannis is doubtful. And I think he's going to be out. So in that case, I'm going over 218 as my pick at minus 112. And I think that the Suns will win Game 1, whether Giannis is there or not. Okay, now we'll move on to Major League Baseball from yesterday, as we will go over those results, and we will look ahead to tonight's games. Cardinals over the Giants 5-3. The Cardinals are 42-44. San Francisco 53-31. Kwan Kim the win. Kevin Gausman the loss. So the Cardinals get the big win that I kind of called on the podcast. The Marlins over the Dodgers 5-4. Marlins 36-47. Dodgers 53-32. Getting the win for Miami was David Hess. Vince Gonzalez the loss, and Anthony Bender the save. Twins over the White Sox 8-5. The Twins are 35-48. Chicago 49-35. Getting the win for Minnesota was Blake Ober, Dylan Cease the loss, and Hansel Robles gets the save. Pirates beat the Braves 11-1. Wow. Pittsburgh 31-53. Atlanta 41-43. Yikes. Bad loss for the Braves. Chase Young to win. Max Fried the loss. So what a letdown for Max Fried. Walk-off hit one day. Get rocked by one of the worst teams in baseball the next day. Rays over the Indians 9-8. The Rays 49-36. Cleveland 42-40. Peter Fairbanks to win, and Emmanuel Clace the loss. Mets over the Brewers 4-2, so best bet is a loser by a run and a half. Mets are 44-37, Milwaukee 51-35. Seth Lugo to win, Brandon Woodruff the loss, and Edwin Diaz the save. Tigers over the Rangers 7-3. The Tigers are 39-46. Texas is 33-52. Willie Peralta the win, and Colby Albert the loss. Phillies over the Cubs 13-3. Phillies 40-42, Chicago 42-43. So that's 10 straight losses for the Chicago Cubs, which is incredible. We've been talking about Aaron Boone and how I feel that he's on the hot seat. I feel the same way about Chicago's David Ross, even though he's only a year into the job with this losing streak. This is the Chicago Cubs we're talking about. A team that got off to a good start. This isn't the Kansas City Royals. I won't be shocked if you told me David Ross lost his job before the end of the season, and before Aaron Boone, I would not be shocked. Although I think Aaron Boone's more likely to lose his job first because Ross has only been there a year and a half compared to the 4 years. So, very wild that the Cubs have lost 10 straight. Getting the win for Philly was Connor Brogdon, the lost Rex brothers. Reds over the Royals 6-2. The Reds are 44-40. The Royals are 35-49. Vladimir Gutierrez the win. Mike Minor the loss. Red Sox over the Angels 5-4. The Red Sox are 54-32. Angels 42-42. Martin Perez the win. Jose Suarez the loss, and Adam Ottavino gets the save. Nationals over the Padres 7-5. The Nationals are 41-42. San Diego 50-37. Getting the win, Wander Suero the loss. Timmy Hill, and getting the save was Brad Hand, the ex-Padre. All right, looking ahead to today, 7 o'clock on ESPN, the Brewers and the Mets. Brett Anderson and Jacob deGrom. The Mets are huge favorites. They're $2.95. Brewers are plus 240. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 128. Unders plus 104. Brewers plus 1.5 is minus 102. Mets minus 1.5 is minus 118. I think the Brewers plus 1.5 at minus 102 is some nice value. I'm not saying the Brewers are going to win this game outright, but I won't be shocked if this is a one-run game, so I'm going to go with that. The Braves and the Pirates. Ian Anderson and Chad Cole. Braves are minus 172. Pittsburgh's plus 144. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Atlanta minus 1.5 is plus 102. Pittsburgh plus 1.5 is minus 122. I'm going over 8.5 at a juice minus 118. Blue Jays Orioles. Steven Matz, we don't know, is going for the O's. If the total is anything less than 10, I'll consider the over. Indians Rays is postponed. Tomorrow there'll be a doubleheader. I think it's weird that a Rays game got postponed. I'm going to go to Twitter, see why this game is postponed. Rays postponed. Okay, this makes sense. Through the path of Tropical Storm Elsa, Tuesday night's game between the Indians and Rays has been postponed. Will be made up a part of the traditional doubleheader on Wednesday beginning at 12:10. Okay, that makes sense now. We talked about Hurricane Elsa on the podcast on Friday. And its path through Florida. So that makes a lot of sense now. Dodgers Marlins. Tony Gonsolin and Pablo Lopez. And this is Lopez's first start since his ejection on Thursday. He's a plus 116 underdog. Dodgers are minus 136, over under 7.5. Overs minus 106, unders minus 114. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 134. Miami plus 1.5 is minus 162. I think that this is an over game. If the Marlins had not won last night, I would have took them tonight. I just cannot see the Dodgers losing 2 in a row, so I'm going to go over 7.5 and minus 106. Tigers Rangers. Jose Urena and Dane Dunning. Rangers minus 172. Detroit plus 144, over under 9. Overs minus 106, unders minus 114. Texas minus 1.5 is plus 114. Detroit plus 1.5 is minus 137. And I'm going over 9 at minus 106. Phillies Cubs. Aaron Nola and Jake Arrieta. So Jake Arrieta faces his previous team. He's a plus 114 underdog. Phillies are minus 134. If the total's anything higher than 9, I'm taking the under. The White Sox and the Twins, Carlos Rodon and Jose Barrios. White Sox minus 112, Twins minus 104, over under 8.5, overs minus 108, unders minus 112. White Sox minus 1.5 is plus 146. Twins plus 1.5 is minus 176. I'm going White Sox money line minus 112. Reds Royals, Luis Castillo and Chris Bubic. I don't see any betting stuff here, but I'm not taking the Reds. And the most overrated pitcher in all of baseball, Luis Castillo. So, if anything, if the total is less than 10, I'll jump on the over. A's Astros, Chris Bassett and Framber Valdez. Astros minus 158, Oakland plus 134, over under 8.5. Overs minus 104, unders minus 118. Oakland plus 1.5 is minus 162. Houston minus 1.5 is plus 134. I'm going Oakland plus 134 as a road dog here. Chris Bassett just wins games. I know Valdez is some better statistics, but Bassett's been great too. 9:30, Red Sox Angels, Nathan Eovaldi and Shohei Ohtani. Red Sox minus 118, Angels even money, over under 9, overs minus 104, unders minus 118. Boston minus 1.5 is plus 128. Angels plus 1.5 is minus 154. I'm going Angels even money. I think that Ohtani bounces back from that Yankee start. Rockies Diamondbacks, John Gray and Merrill Kelly. Diamondbacks minus 122. Rockies plus 104, over under 8.5. Overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Rockies plus 1.5 is minus 200. Diamondbacks minus 1.5 is plus 164. I want to go with the Rockies, but at the same time, I want to go with the over. So I'm going to go with the over 8.5 just to play safe at minus 118. Cardinals Giants at 9:45. Adam Wainwright and Johnny Cueto. So this is a turn back the clock type of pitching matchup. Giants minus 132. Cardinals plus 112, over under 8, minus 110 each way. Cardinals plus 1.5 is minus 192. Giants minus 1.5 is plus 158. I'm going over 8. I don't think either of these guys are as good as they used to be. In both these offenses, I could see humming here. So I'm going over 8, minus 110. Won't be shocked if it's a push. At 10 o'clock, you have on ESPN, you have the Yankees and the Mariners. So the Yankees and the Mets headline the doubleheader here. Jameson Taillon and Justice Sheffield. The irony of this matchup is that Justice Sheffield used to be a Yankees prospect. He was an Indians farmhand, was dealt to the Yankees in the Andrew Miller trade, and then was dealt to Seattle in the James Paxton deal. Now James Paxton's out for the season with Tommy John, so that's unfortunate. But Sheffield has been solid at times for Seattle this season. Meanwhile, Taillon's been disappointing for the Yankees. A major reason why this team has not lived up to expectations. I am tempted to pick the Mariners as a home dog. The lines aren't out yet, but if the Mariners are an underdog, I'm picking them. But if the Mariners are weirdly favored here, which they might be, they have a better record than the Yankees, so they might as well be favored. But I doubt it, because Yankees is what the books care about out in Vegas and in New Jersey and other places. So if the total is anything less than 9.5, I'll jump on the over maybe. And then the Nats and the Padres, we don't know who's going for Washington, and Ryan Weathers is going for San Diego. Oh, the Yankees stats are out. They're minus 148. Seattle's plus 126. Over under 9.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. Yankees minus 1.5 is plus 110. Seattle plus 1.5 is minus 132. I'm taking Seattle plus 126 against the Yanks. Mariners have a better record than the Yankees. Justice Sheffield revenge spot. Maybe we'll have some regret in that trade a little bit after what I think Sheffield could put together tonight potentially against an underachieving Yankees offense. And then the Nats and the Padres. We don't know what's going for Washington, but if the total is anything less than 9, I'll jump on the over. All right, to the WNBA we go. We will go over the results from last night. I don't think there's any games today, and there's not. There's games tomorrow, but not tonight. Liberty over the Wings, 99-96. A big win for the Liberty. They're 10-9. Dallas 9-10. Simi Whitcomb, 26 points to lead New York. And Isabel Harrison had 23 and 7 boards for Dallas. So Liberty back over 500. Dallas sub 500. Liberty takes sole possession of the 6th seed in the East, or in the league, I almost said the East, but in the league standings, and now is tied with the underachieving Chicago Sky. So then Dallas drops to 7th, a game back of New York. And New York obviously has the edge in the season series matchups. All right, now I'm going to preview and predict today's semifinal game in UEFA between Italy and Spain. It's on 3 o'clock on ESPN. I think it's going to be a great game. Italy was the winner of Group A and ran away with Group A. They're 3-0-0, goal differential of +7. And then Spain, Group E, 1-2-0, +5 goal differential. So I think this is going to be a good game. On FanDuel, Italy is a slight +140 favorite. Spain's +210, so is the draw. I'm going to go Italy +140. I like how they've been playing. They've just been dominating this whole tournament. In the quarters, they beat Belgium. Round of 16, they beat Austria in extras. And now I think that they'll continue to play well against Spain. So I'm going to go +140 for Italy against Spain this afternoon. All right, now I'm going to go over Wimbledon results from yesterday and look ahead to today's matches on each the men's and the women's side in the tournament. So we'll start with the men's results. From yesterday, Daniil Medvedev and Hubert Hurkacz was suspended in the 4th set. Medvedev, your 2 seed. Hurkacz, your 14 seed. Roger Federer defeated Lorenzo Sonego in 3 sets. Federer, your 6. Sonego, your 23. 16-seeded Felix Auger-Aliassime defeated 4-seeded Alexander Zverev in 5 sets. 1-seeded Novak Djokovic over 17-seeded Christian Garin in 3 sets. 10-seeded Denis Shapovalov over 8-seeded Roberto Bautista Agut in 3 sets. Martin Fucsovics upsets 5-seeded Andrei Rublev in 5 sets. 25-seeded Karen Khachanov over Sebastian Korda in 5 sets. And 7-seeded Matteo Berrettini over Ilya Ivashka in 3 sets. The quarterfinals will begin on Wednesday, and I think today at some point they are going to resume the Medvedev-Hurkacz match. All right, women's results from yesterday, which was round of 16. Angela Tomkovic over Emma Raducanu in 2 in a walkover. 25-seeded Angelique Kerber over 20-seeded Coco Gauff in 2 sets. Victoria Goblik over 23-seeded Madison Keys in 2 sets. 19-seeded Carolina Muchova over 30-seeded Paula Badosa in 2 sets. 8-seeded Carolina Pliskova over Ludmila Samsonova in 2 sets. 1-seeded Ashley Barty over 14-seeded Barbora Krejcikova in 2 sets. 2-seeded Arina Sabalenka over 18-seeded Elena Rybakina in 3. And 21-seeded Ons Jabeur upset 7-seeded Iga Swiatek in 3. Your quarterfinal matches will be today at 8 o'clock. You have 8-seeded Carolina Pliskova and Victoria Golubic, because we are getting late in the tournament. I'm going to do the matches in terms of odds. Pliskova's minus 240, Goblik's plus 198. And in set betting, I'm going to go Pliskova 2-0 at plus 115 as my official pick. 19-seeded Carolina Muchova and 25-seeded Angelique Kerber. Kerber's a minus 158 favorite. Muchova's plus 134. I'm going to go with Kerber 2-1 plus 280 as the pick here. Next up at 9:30, you have 21-seeded Ons Jabeur and 2-seeded Arina Sabalenka. Sabalenka's minus 132. Jabeur's plus 114. And set betting, I'm going to go with the upset Ons Jabeur plus 330. I'm going to take her plus 114 to win it. So my upset pick of the round, Ons Jabeur plus 330 to knock off Arina Sabalenka. And in the last quarterfinal at 11:30, 1-seeded Ashley Barty and Angela Tomkovic. Barty is a big favorite at minus 550. Tomkovic is 4-1. And I'm going to go Barty 2-0 at minus 170 for the pick in terms of odds. So there you have it for the quarterfinals for the women's. We'll do quarterfinals for men on tomorrow's show. All right, now we'll do the latest news and notes. Not much to get to, really. To me, the biggest story of yesterday was a really, really sad story. With the Matisse Kivlenik's passing. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but there's speculation that Kivlenik's death was caused by a fall, but his autopsy shows that the cause of death was a chest trauma from an errant fireworks mortar blast. So that is really sad that he had passed away, that the autopsy showed that was the cause of death and not a fall. So rest in peace to Kivlenik, and again, thoughts and prayers to his family. That the autopsy showed a chest trauma from a fireworks mortar blast. And then the Bell Center did a moment of silence, and that was really nice, and that was the right thing to do. And you would think that Tampa Bay is going to do one tomorrow night as well. Atlanta Dream star Kennedy Charter suspended indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. That is a big loss for the Dream, who at times have played some solid ball. But yeah, Kennedy Carter getting suspended is a big deal, and I think that she really hurt her team right there. We talked about Giannis being doubtful for Game 1, but he was working out in private in front of Army observers to assess his progression after hyperextending his knee. So that's interesting. Starling Marte offered a multi-year deal, and the Marlins are hopeful of getting a deal done with the star before the trade deadline. So we'll see if that comes into fruition or not, or else he'd be a hot commodity at the trade deadline. Nate McMillan has an agreement in place to be the permanent head coach. He deserves the job after taking them to the conference finals. If he was their coach the whole season, they would have challenged the Bucks for the 3 seed. I think we learned in the playoffs that they were a better team than given credit for, because they destroyed the Knicks. They beat Philly and Joel Embiid. They ruined Ben Simmons, and they took the Bucks to 6. And I think those 2 injuries of Trey and Giannis in a way cancel each other out, but the Giannis injury was proven to be somewhat lesser in the series, weirdly enough, because his supporting cast stepped up without him, and Trae Young was back for Game 6. So, good for McMillan. He deserves this. Indiana should have never fired him in the first place. And now Indiana has Rick Carlisle, which I'm sure they're happy about. And I said on the show that was a good hire as well. Greg Popovich had some advice to Mike Budenholzer. He joked, as in Budenholzer, he joked about asking Popovich for finals advice. Pop simply said, "Figure out on your own." That would be a classic joking Pop quote. Sixto Sanchez done for the season, as he'll have shoulder surgery. That's a big loss for the Marlins. He really showed promise last year, and he's somebody that the Marlins are really counting on this year, and they're counting on going forward to be the dude in that rotation. So that's a big loss for that team, and it sets them back a little bit. The Wizards to work out 6 players, Charlie Bassey and Greg Brown III, highlight the pre-draft group to work out for Washington. And the Wiz also narrowed down head coaching candidates. Jamal Mosley, Darvin Ham, Charles Lee, and Wes Unseld Jr. will talk to the Wizards again this week. The hot route to go has been hiring the hot assistant. We saw that with Boston this year. You saw the Mavs hire Jason Kidd, who was an assistant, but the thing with Kidd was that he already had 2 head coaching jobs with Brooklyn and Milwaukee, respectively. So Kidd really shouldn't count on that list. And the Jazz hope to bring back Conley, as the Jazz will make every attempt to re-sign the All-Star point guard this offseason. You know the Knicks are going to be coming for him. You know that other teams will be after him. Maybe the Lakers, because you know the Lakers are going to try to do something desperate because they lost in the first round. So we'll see what happens with Conley. And the Jazz, to me, are a team that's under a lot of pressure this offseason. They got to bring back Conley. Find the way to keep Donovan Mitchell happy. That's their goal of the offseason. So we'll see what happens there with Conley and the Jazz. Okay, last but not least, my best bet of the day. Brought to you by FanDuel. There's some interesting ones on here. But the one I like the most, I gotta go with the over 8.5 in Colorado Zona. Both these teams are really bad, but neither of these teams can pitch. Both these teams have bad bullpens. So that's what makes me think that this over would be a good bet. So over 8.5, whole unit between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks for my best bet of the day. All right, so there you have it for the show today. A little shorter than normal, which is a good thing. We'll be back tomorrow. Then we'll be mock draft. We'll go over baseball, NBA Finals Game 1. Look at the Stanley Cup Game 5. WNBA slate tomorrow. UEFA semifinal. Men's quarterfinal for Wimbledon. And I will also be making a pick on tomorrow's show for the John Deere Classic as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.